Let me come to you now, Dr. Omoyele. Human capital remains a central to Africa competitiveness, like has been stated by several of our speakers today. How is your organization advancing professional standards and leadership capacity across the continent?
Thank you. The Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management of Nigeria is a legally registered body that is empowered to train, to license, and also engage in human capacity development across different categories of the sectors of the economy. We are not only an institution that is legally registered and empowered to license. We are also involved in community service. We provide education to the extent that organizations are made to be aware that the major driver of any organization is the human sector. The human sector of any organization must be taken seriously. If you don't, the fact that you have human being in an organization, and of course we know they are unpredictable, you cannot, many times you cannot determine what they will do next, particularly to some of us who are employers of labor. I was just discussing with a colleague outside there, and we were looking at the different perspective of the workforce. And that takes me back to the Gen Z. And I mentioned that, you see, when you look at the structure of the workforce these days, it appears it is being dominated by the Gen Zs. And unfortunately, the Gen X, 1, 2, 3, they are supposed to provide leadership for them, are already exiting this space. And that gap is creating a lot of problems. Our institute, many times when we go for conferences, we go for seminars, we conducting induction for people, we normally address the gap between the Gen Z, because if there's no one to lay a foundation, others may not be able to follow. The categorization of Gen Z is not the problem, but there are so many factors that made them to be of concern to people. They have their own peculiarities. Sometimes
I agree with you. Continue, sir.
They have their own peculiarities, and the peculiarities has to do with, number one, they don't want to be pushed around. They believe in the gig economy, that is working from home, contract basis. They also believe that they should be free from any idea that they seems not to understand to them is not. And as we are gathered here, if we have majority of them here, they are bored already. They are tired. Because to them, we are talking too much. You get it, tell you big grammars. And unfortunately, those of us who are neither here nor there, I mean Gen X, Gen Y, and that are neither here, we are not prepared to hand over or to provide serious leadership. And when you talk of human capital, it is a very sensitive thing. These days, when you look at most of these multinational companies, they prefer to import to a country where they don't understand their culture. And Gen Zs, whether we like it or not, are the rising generations. We have the coming generation, which is the alpha generation. Those who are just coming up, they don't know much of what we are even doing. They are still in primary school. The better generation, of course, they are just 1 year old by our own categorization. Each generation has its own peculiarity, and if you don't understand their peculiarities, you'll just be wasting your time. Again, when you look at the world globally, they share the same peculiarity. They are tech savvy, they are restless, they are creative. I won't say they are selfish, they are goal-getters, but to a large extent, if you really want to get a result that is desired, you need to involve them. They understand the terrain. They understand the street language. If, as we are seated here, they know how they communicate. All of us as we are seated, I may not know your age, but I know you don't belong to Gen Z.
Not at all.
So to flow with them will be a problem. You believe in due process. They don't believe in due process. They don't believe in following the norms. They want the word crazy to be exhibited all the time. And that is why many a times some of us who are their leaders, we find it difficult to manage them. You might be talking to them, they are pressing, they communicate via tech. Most times, they are either on TikTok, WhatsApp, and see, if you want to provide a thorough leadership that is sustainable, like my gentle friend, a teacher, who just presented something on Vision to Victory. Something was omitted at that time, which was the mission. I was thinking we mentioned the mission, but in the process, mission came in out of the victory. We have a desire, an ideal situation that we desire. How do you ensure that this is being sustained? How do you ensure that this is being translated? If we don't look at the current, which is the rising generation, if you don't carry them along, we are wasting our time. We need to involve them deeply in anything that we are doing. With that, we'll be able to achieve the desired objective of a transformative capital, human capital ideal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Omoyele. That was well said. I understand clearly because, especially at this time, leadership is more challenging because of Gen Z. You have to think like they think. Sometimes you have to really try to understand them. Yeah, like you said, they are very restless. In fact, I may not be into HR, but from managing a few organizations currently, the turnover rate is very high because of Gen Z. So they can get employed today and leave in 2 months. So how is your organization, what do you intend to do? How do you intend to address especially the very, very frequent turnover rate of Gen Z?
To our institute, for us in our institute, our role, like I said, goes beyond teaching people, providing training program, human capacity. We also engage in community service, We go to secondary schools to provide, ensure they have what we call club, leadership, global something leadership on, it's a club. We register them, we tell them how to be a leader, we tell them what is expected of a leader, we tell them, it is not when you talk of leadership is not the act of occupying a position. It goes beyond that. It is a capacity, it is an ability to influence, to motivate. You don't have to be at the top there before you are addressed as a leader. You don't have to be the CEO or say, you can even be a junior manager and you are portrayed as a leader. We go around, we engage in community services. Anytime we have the opportunity of talking about what is important to an employee, which is not necessarily money alone. Most of these high labor turnover we experience that is occasioned by the issue of money or the issue of seeking greener pasture. I think it's just the nature of the generation. They want to explore. Like I said, they don't joke with anything. If you look at the gig economy, CIHRM economy, which is dominated by this generation, you hardly find anyone you can hold on ground. They believe in contract work. They believe in, I think it has to do with a perspective that they have been imbibed with from childhood. The parents, because you cannot address a problem if you don't know the cause. A lot of factors are responsible for the perception of the Gen Zs. A lot. And when you talk of a Gen Z, there are two categories. There are those who are above their age, who see reason like them. We have people like that. Well above 60, they think like Gen Zs. They behave like Gen Zs. We also have people who can be categorized as Gen Z on the basis of their age. If you fall to the first category, there's a problem. The problem is that you may not be able to provide the expected leadership because We live in a competitive world, very dynamic, highly unpredictable. If you look at what we are experiencing in the last 2 months now, if you are not a visionary leader, a leader who can think without the box, you might find it difficult to manage your people. We have rising cost of production. Salary is not enough. Everybody is engaged in moonlighting, that is doing additional work legally or illegally to add to your income. And this will affect productivity. So to tame labor turnover in most organizations is not something that we just address here. Our institute, Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, is making serious effort to ensure that we cover the whole of our country. We have been to about 5 states where most of their secondary schools there, we have our presence physically active, where we have clubs that are registered, where we teach people on how to be a leader with a vision, a charismatic leader, transformational leader, and all whatnot. But all of us cannot constitute all the types of leadership traits expected. You might be charismatic because of your nature. I might not be. I might be someone who has a vision. My friend here may not be. He might be someone who's transformational. There are people, just give them a goal, give them target, they will carry it. There are people who will set goals, ask them to implement, they cannot achieve that. You need to identify these little peculiarities. That will go a long way in helping us. And the Institute is providing education at every opportunity, like we are gathered here. People want to hear some things that have not been mentioned. And that is the issue of Gen Z. If you go to any conference, if you are not addressed that area, you are wasting your time, particularly on HR, because they dominate the workforce now, as I speak with you, more than 80%. If you're above 60, above 50, you are not expected to be at the lower cadre of an organization. You are supposed to be at the managerial level if you have started the way. And that's why I said categorization of Gen Z is of 2 types. But those in the other side are a minority. Those who constitute the majority are below the age of 40 and 30 below. So I think by the end of 2030, we hope to have covered the whole federation, and by that we'll be able to achieve a substantial number of people becoming leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Omoyele. Your work is well documented also, because we are well aware of what your institute is doing, especially across Nigeria. And I'm hoping that with this conference in Kenya, you can start going across Africa, especially your institution. You have peers in every country. So it's important that we address the problem of labor turnover and the next generation, the Gen Z, across Africa, not only in Nigeria.
Yes.